All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the PPF Football Show with me, Paul, where we talk about football in terms of the events in the past, present, and future. So there's really a load of topics to talk about this week, and yeah, let's get straight into it. First of all, we have to talk about the tragic news during the week of when I heard the passing of Gerard Houllier, obviously former Liverpool manager, and then I think he was Aston Villa manager for a time. But obviously, he's best known to us as a Liverpool manager, as the Liverpool manager, and then he was quite successful. He won a treble for us in 2001, the domestic treble. I think it was the UEFA Cup, FA Cup, and the Carling Cup, or whatever the equivalent was at the time. Great manager, apparently a great intellectual from what we've heard from everyone, and yeah, he'd be sadly missed, and it's quite sad. But that's life, and we just have to get on with it, I guess. In terms of managers as well, now speaking on them, there's been the first sackings of managers this week. So at the start of the week, we obviously had Lucien Favre, the Dortmund manager, being sacked after their 5-1 defeat against Stuttgart. And it was kind of looking bad for Dortmund anyway. It was their third defeat in 5, which saw them being fifth in the Bundesliga. And this is a Bundesliga where Bayer Leverkusen on top. So you could kind of feel like, Dortmund might be missing a big opportunity to upend Bayern, but who knows. But I guess it wasn't really a surprise to see him go, considering that his contract was going to expire at the end of the season. And, some people would argue that he hadn't really fulfilled the potential of the squad, because you think about it, they have loads of good young youth players like Bellingham, Haaland, Sancho, Reina. The list could go on, but it's just, hopefully the next manager that comes in, for the moment anyway, Erdin Terzic, who's the assistant manager, hopefully he can at least give the title a good go. But I'm not saying I wouldn't be happy to see Leverkusen win the league. And then I guess the other major sacking we got during the week was Slaven Bilic, despite West Brom kind of performing a mini miracle with a 1-1 draw against Man City. Although I guess these days you couldn't really consider a draw against Man City a rare event. It's not like Man City in 2017, 2018 when they were doing a madness. But yeah, he was sacked, and I guess, I didn't think we'd come back to this, but, Big Sam is back, and he's going to come fix everything. But in fairness, he has got a very good record. Like, he hasn't been relegated once, and he's been doing a really good job wherever he's been. And if you think about it, especially his early times, like, everyone thinks that, bit old-fashioned, outdated football. But he's actually, if you read about him, he was kind of in with the times, and he was very much like very much into the science and all that. So I read it in the book by Michael Cox called The Mixer. It was kind of like he had actually spent a recent amount of time in America towards the end of his career, and obviously during that time, I think he was playing for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, which shared the stadium with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the same training facilities. And obviously they were incorporating science into their stuff. And yeah, he decided to incorporate those into football. And him, along with Wenger, were really the ones who kind of brought science and all those kind of things to football. And of course, he had some quite exciting players in that Bolton team. If we think of Djorkaeff, Okocha, really good players. Kevin Davies, I don't really think you could call Kevin Davies an entertaining footballer, but Fernando Hierro, all these supposedly great players that he was able to buy in, Anelka as well, that he was able to get in for cheap and like fully maximize what every single little bit out of them in order to like do well with them in the league. Obviously, his last post was at Everton, a bit unspectacular, but it was kind of like the writing was on the wall for his sacking anyway, so I guess it wasn't really that much of a surprise. And in terms of West Brom, I think he'll be able to sort of get them up, keep them up even. I mean, they had Pereira, Grady Diangana, Dara O'Shea for us actually, as it from an Irish perspective, is actually did really well against City. He made like a load of blocks and interceptions and stuff, so he's definitely one to look forward to. I think he's made a couple of appearances for Ireland already, but he's definitely someone to look out for. And yeah, I'm going to predict that they're probably going to survive. I'd say, it would be a bit sad for Big Sam to lose his record of not getting relegated. But yeah, fingers crossed. In terms of the other news stories from the week, we had Jack Grealish doing Jack Grealish stuff. Everyone was kind of thinking, oh, he's a great guy. I mean, he's a great player. But, he goes and crashes his car, and I think he's been banned for driving for 9 months or something like that. And got fined like 90,000 grand. 90 grand. 90,000 grand. That's not a word, pal. 90 grand. So, yeah. Typical footballer stuff, really. We also had the Golden Boy Award, obviously won by Haaland. I mean, I don't think... I can't really remember the other nominees, but he would have obviously been the standout, considering the mad year he's had, both at Salzburg last year and then at Dortmund this year as well. Especially the start of his time at Dortmund was amazing. And we also had the best awards. So we had... So with those award winners, Klopp won Best Coach. Now, even as a Liverpool fan, I find that a bit skeptical. I think Flick probably should have won it because he did some pretty good stuff for Bayern, and they dominated last year, in fairness to them. But, I'll leave... apparently Jurgen Klopp's the best, so I'll take it. And Neuer won Best Goalkeeper, and Lewandowski, probably rightly so, because he did a mad season last year. I think he scored the most goals of his career, and he definitely had a good season and definitely deserved the best footballer. This is just basically just like a second, like a lower form of the Ballon d'Or, so it doesn't really matter. In terms of other stuff, Edinson Cavani got in trouble, apparently, for getting something lost in translation, which I guess would apply in this case. He apparently said like something that means something different in Spanish and in Uruguay and in those circles, and then he's getting hounded for it by the FA. And yeah, it will be interesting to see how that goes. And in terms of major rulings this week, we've had the new concussion substitution being put into effect. So that means, I'm presuming, that once a player is concussed, like say for David Luiz a couple of weeks ago with his thing with Raul Jimenez, then in that situation, they'll be able to make a substitute even if there's no substitutions left available. But I guess the main story for the top teams and the main disappointment, I guess, is the fact that they rejected that the Premier League clubs rejected the 5 subs, which I guess, I don't know. It's definitely not good for our chances as meaning Liverpool, and obviously we've suffered a lot of injuries. I can't even think of how many injuries we've had. Jota's injured now. It's had a detrimental effect to us, and then City. I don't think City have had any major injuries, but I can certainly see why it would help, but that's probably the reason why it was voted down, because the lower teams didn't want to give the bigger teams an advantage. And I guess for competitiveness, it might be a good idea. Okay, and in terms of a transfer, the transfers are starting up again. So Szoboszlai has gone to Leipzig. So if you don't know Szoboszlai, Arsenal were linked with him. So he's kind of this like creative midfielder who Arsenal were linked with, but obviously as he plays for Salzburg, kind of like the main place where he's really going to go is to Leipzig. So, and I guess if I had the option between Leipzig and Salzburg and Arsenal, I think I know where I'd rather go, and I'm pretty sure you'd all agree it would be definitely Leipzig. They've got a really attacking style of play. They play in the Champions League. And they've also got like one of the brightest and best young managers in the world at the minute that everyone seems to like, which is Julian Nagelsmann. And it's just like the appeal of Red Bull is certainly much more than Arsenal, where nothing can go right at the minute, and you're essentially just like the focal point of their creativity, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on you. Whereas at Leipzig, you have loads of different players contributing. You have Sabitzer, Forsberg, Dani Olmo. There's a multitude of players there that can obviously contribute to attack and play. So it won't be as much of a focus on them, rather than if we were at, say, an Arsenal where there's absolutely no creativity in the midfield and everything will be funneled through him. But I guess he didn't want the bigger challenge there. So either rightly or wrongly, he's gone to Leipzig. And the big midweek fixture from the week was obviously Liverpool's 2-1 win over Spurs. And I guess the main comeback from thoughts from that was it was a good performance, particularly because I think we had a couple of young players playing, and obviously Jose was having a boo-boo, even though we pretty much dominated on every single, I think we pretty much had like domination in every single stat. While I know that's not what Jose does, like he kind of, in terms of possession and stuff, he's more of a counter-attacking team, but I guess he just had a hissy fit and kind of said, "Oh, we were the better team" or whatever. But I kind of feel bad in disagreeing, but sorry, Jose, I disagree. We're gonna win. Well, I don't know what I was thinking about that. It's actually mad to even think about the league table. I think it's like Southampton are third, Leicester are around there as well. So if they did that again, that would be amazing. But even just it's just Southampton have gone under an amazing transformation in terms of like the stuff they've done. It was like last year, I think, a year ago, more than a year ago now. But I think the anniversary was a couple. It sounds a bit sad saying it was an anniversary, but the 9-0 obviously happened. But they've gone on leaps and bounds since then, and I think that's why it kind of shows like the importance of like sticking with your manager and stuff like that. And that was the main kind of fixture of the week. And in terms of the festive fixtures now, which are obviously, this is where football fans really have fun. It's kind of a shame no fans will be there. And obviously, I think the news came out today that England's going into full lockdown again. So no matter what, there'll be no fans. I know in Liverpool there was fans, but then in other certain areas there wasn't. But England's going to be going back into a full lockdown like ourselves. Probably England will go in earlier than us, but yeah, so fans won't be back for a while yet. So the main event is Sunday, where we have the rematching of Leeds and Man United, a fixture that loads of people have missed. Maybe the older people watching. Well, not really. That one person they're watching isn't probably old enough to remember, but they were big rivals back in the day, and it'll be great to see that rivalry rekindled again. And Leeds have obviously come off a 5-2 win against Newcastle, which is quite big, and they've had a load of really good performing players this year. I kind of feel really good for Bamford because everyone was saying at the start of the year, oh, he couldn't do it at Middlesbrough. He's not a great player, but that's the great thing about Bielsa, that he was able to get the best out of him, which I really admire and respect. And this is why so many people like him and revere him as one of the best managers of all time. So that'll be interesting. Let me think about Man United. Man United really irrelevant. So there's not really much to say about that. And then on Boxing Day, now the Chelsea fans in the chat, if there is any. Oh, there is. Oh, there's a comment. Bang. You're not that old. I'm not sure, Mark. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe in your behaviour you might be, but anyway. In terms of the matches on Boxing Day, I think, Boxing Day. Arsenal versus Chelsea. Now, many people probably see that as, how would I say it? Like quite a walkthrough for Chelsea, and I would agree. It's just, Arsenal need January is going to be so important for Arsenal in order to get the right player in. And obviously, as I mentioned before, they can't get Szoboszlai. So they obviously have to try and find someone. I have no idea who. I'm trying to think. Ozil, re-register Ozil, you know? I know all the Arsenal stands will be like, no. But, he was like, Ozil is still a very good player. And I believe he probably could be better used, He'll be probably sent to Turkey or, because of his ties with Erdogan and stuff. But, they need some creativity from somewhere. And I don't know. I don't know where it would even come from because I'm trying to think myself. I can't think of any central midfielders that are like super creative that would kind of spark some creativity into the side. I just kind of feel like stick with Ozil to the end of the season. Maybe do something in the summer, because I think Ozil's still training with the first team, so it's not like he's completely out of touch. It's not like he's shunted them off or whatever. But I don't think Guendouzi, and I don't think they could probably even recall Guendouzi. I don't think Guendouzi was the most creative either. And it's just like, a sad case for Arsenal because, they're just a story of like really bad squad building. And yeah, it's quite a sad thing to see because I like Arsenal. They're funny to laugh at, as I'm sure everyone will agree. And in terms of Chelsea, I think they've done better. I to be honest, I don't really pay attention to results that much. But in terms of Chelsea, they seem to be getting better. Havertz still hasn't really shown up yet. It's kind of obvious. It'll take him time to embed in and stuff. And, Chelsea are doing fine, realistically. They're probably going to get in the top four again. They're not going to do anything spectacular. They're not going to win the league. But certainly the players that they have, Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, all these players definitely have, they're pretty good. And I guess it's a shame that they couldn't capitalize on the form this year. And, they kind of, with the signings they have, they should be above like the likes of Southampton. And, but they've had a couple of disappointing results. I think, did they draw against Leeds? Mark might be able to clarify that for me, but I can't remember. Hang on. Chelsea Football Club. Let's have a look. 3-1, 1-0. Losses against like the likes of Everton, Everton and Wolves. They're obviously not great results to be having. To clarify, they did actually beat Leeds, so fair play to you. But the likes of Wolves, obviously Wolves have actually done really well this year. Well, I like to Pedro Neto is always coming in with goals. But I think the Everton game was a penalty, I think, that won them the game. But yeah. So that's pretty much it. Like Arsenal, Chelsea, hang on. You're 7th in the league. It's nothing spectacular. Just have a look at your position. Your point, let's have a look. You're 6 points off Liverpool at the top. So the table actually looks all right for us, as in Liverpool. So Liverpool, Tottenham, Southampton, and Leicester. So obviously Southampton and Leicester are probably the overperforming teams there. And then Man City down in 9th. And, of course, Arsenal down in 15th, which is obviously a great sight to see. And poor old Sheffield down the bottom, who've had, I think that the stat came out in the week that it's the worst start in in a long time anyway. I think it must be going back to like the 70s. I think was this the last time it was as bad as this. So it's the worst performance in the Premier League anyway. And I guess if you think about it, it's completely off topic now, but I kind of feel like with Sheffield, it's almost just a fact of I think they have a couple of injuries. I think Lundstrom's injured. Their forward line is not the most spectacular in the world if you think about it. They even didn't perform that well last year anyway. So you have the likes of McGoldrick, Mousset. Mousset's a Bournemouth reject, for God's sake, for crying out loud. And then McGoldrick, I think he only scored twice last year. And obviously we have to think about Ramsdale as well and how they slightly overpaid for him. And, Dean Henderson would obviously have been a massive loss. And yeah, it's a sad case, but I honestly do not see I do not see Sheffield getting out of this, to be honest, which is sad to see because I'm sure everyone was kind of getting up for them to get into the Champions League next year, this year, in the previous year, or even just the Europa League or something. It would have been nice, but yeah, I guess it'll go down in the history books. But apart from that, I'm just thinking, I don't think there's anything other major topics to talk about this week. So thank you, Mark, for tuning in, and thank you to anyone else who watches this video in the future. And don't forget to check out some of the shows. So, from what I've heard, well, I know because I'm on the committee, but Mars FM is not doing any shows during the Christmas period. I might sneak one if I can, if I'm bothered to. But from what I've heard anyway, there's no more shows there's no shows next week. So, but if you want to catch up on them, there's quite a lot of them. So, oh God, there's the Rumor Has It podcast. There's Sophie's Positive Spin. And there's another one that I can't remember because I'm a great person. But anyway, that's it for everyone. I hope you really enjoyed the show. And please, let's hope we'll come back in the new year and I'll have a better show. And it'll be, I'll keep it going. And thank you for tuning in. All right, bye everyone.